With the release of the Odyssey, Christopher Nolan now has 13 films in his filmography, so let's rank them all. Hello everybody, my name is Jesse and welcome to my channel. The Odyssey is now Christopher Nolan's 13th feature film, so today I'm going to give you my ranking of every single Christopher Nolan film from the worst to the best. And to be honest, using the word worst in a video like this is kind of weird because I believe that Christopher Nolan has never made a bad film. I love every single one of his movies in some way, but there's got to be an order to them, right? Number 13 for me is Dunkirk. I do love a lot of aspects about this film. I think on a technical level, this film is really well made. The sound design is awesome. Hoyte van Hoytema's cinematography is, as always, absolutely stellar. The tension that Christopher Nolan is able to build, the way he's able to do these different timelines all going on at the same time, like showing the land, the sea, and in the air. I think on a technical level, everything is extremely well done, and I love all of those aspects. But on a story level, this is where the film falls really flat for me. Christopher Nolan is very focused on giving us very accurate action and accurate tension, but that also takes away from being able to explore these characters and build them up. The film isn't really focused on developing these characters, and thus it's hard to really root for them and to experience the film with them. It's almost like you're watching more of just like an experience, almost more of like a documentary than actually watching characters in a film. And that's really the reason that this film falls flat for me, is I can't, like, the characters and the story are not memorable, and this is a film that I just do not have the urge to ever go back and rewatch unless I'm doing something like this. Then at number 12, I have Insomnia. This is a weird one because this is the only film in Christopher Nolan's filmography that he did not write or co-write. He only got the directing credit here, and you can really feel that in the film itself. I love mystery crime thrillers. This is a genre that is right up my alley. I still have a really enjoyable time with this film. Again, none of these movies are outright bad in any way. Al Pacino and Robin Williams are both spectacular. I think they play off each other really, really well. And the cat and mouse dynamic is very interesting to watch. But this film is just missing the Nolan touch that comes when he writes his own films. There's no non-linear structure. It's a very straightforward, in-order story. There's nothing super cleverly done with the editing or the characters. It's just, I want to say it's generic, but it's really like, it does still find ways to stand out within this genre and within Christopher Nolan's filmography. It doesn't stand out nearly as much as a lot of his other films, obviously, but it is still a very entertaining film that I have a great time with when I go back to it. Then at number 11, I have Tenet. Although this is a movie that still remains very low on my list, it is a film that I have grown to love even more over time and the more times I watch it. The first time I watched this film, I didn't know what the hell I was watching. I honestly, on my most recent rewatch, there were still chunks where I was very lost. But the more times I watch this film, the more that I am able to pick up on what is happening. And honestly, when I stop trying to understand it and just let myself have a good time with this film is an absolute blast. All of the action is really freaking awesome. The way that Christopher Nolan films all the backwards fights, things that happen in reverse. There are certain sequences that only make sense later in the film when they play in the right direction, and just the way that Nolan plays with time, both forward and backward in this film, is really ambitious and really entertaining to watch. But because of that confusion factor and the fact that it's just not as easy of a film to follow, it does remain lower on my list, and it is one that I don't go back to as often. Kicking off the top 10 is Nolan's debut, Following. I have this one a bit higher on my list than most people, I think, and I really enjoy this film. It's a very impressive debut, considering that this was Nolan's first feature-length film. He made it with only $6,000 and friends, and they shot on the weekends over the course of a year. And there's just, to me, maybe it's the young filmmaker in me, but there's something very charming about the low-budget amateur look of this film, and the fact that it's only an hour and 9 minutes, it makes it a breeze to go through. And I don't really rewatch it that much, but I do enjoy it quite a bit more than all of the films that came previously. I'm also a massive fan of the noir genre, so that definitely plays a role here. I love the black and white grainy cinematography. Again, it adds to kind of that charm. Then at number 9, I have Christopher Nolan's second feature film, Memento. This is the film that really kickstarted his career, brought him the critical acclaim, and is one of the films that people still mention now, even 25 years later. Guy Pearce is absolutely fantastic and gives my favorite performance that I've ever seen from him. The non-linear structure is amazingly well done here. I think Christopher Nolan has kind of become known for his non-linear structure, his inventive editing and pacing, but this is the film that makes that feel the most natural. I love the way that the editing, the non-linear, kind of puts you in the protagonist's shoes, and you are kind of learning the film along with him. When he learns new information, you're learning the same information, and vice versa. You are asking the same questions that he's asking because of his memory. The way that the film flows is just absolutely perfect, and it does a brilliant job of putting you in the shoes of the protagonist. The black and white looks really, really cool. Again, kind of adding to the noir elements that I loved in Following. From here on out in the ranking, all of these movies could really be swapped around with others at any point in time. When/if I do this video again in a couple of years with Nolan's next movie, then it's very possible that a couple films on this ranking will have switched spots. But as of right now, this is how my ranking stands. At number 8, I have The Dark Knight Rises. I think this is a fantastic conclusion to this trilogy. I think it's a little bit overhated. Yes, it does get a little messy and overstuffed, and I absolutely hate the Talia al Ghul reveal in the third act. That's really the only part of this film that I really despise. But everything else really works for me. The action here is awesome. Tom Hardy is a force to be reckoned with as Bane. He is an amazing villain and such a dominating presence. His Batcave fight with Batman, where he breaks his back, that is a brilliant scene, and Tom Hardy's line delivery is just absolutely perfect. Anne Hathaway is a great addition as Catwoman. Hans Zimmer's score is, as always, a massive standout. Overall, I just thought this was a really great close to this trilogy. Number 7, I have Batman Begins. Likewise, I think this is a great first movie in this trilogy. I think this is a phenomenal origin story. I absolutely love superhero origin stories, and this film, Christopher Nolan does it right. I mean, after the very goofy Batman movies in the 90s, this was a fantastic, grittier, more grounded version of the character, and I really love what Christopher Nolan did with it. The way he tackles the origin story of the death of Bruce's parents, the themes that he tackles with fear, all of that is very well done. Cillian Murphy is a standout as Jonathan Crane, aka Scarecrow. And while I think Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul is a weaker villain in this trilogy for sure, I still have a great time watching him. He's still great. At number 6, I have The Prestige. I really love this story of two rival magicians constantly trying to one-up each other, trying to be the best, and simultaneously trying to figure out each other's tricks while also exposing them and trying to kind of ruin their reputation in a sense. And the kind of obsession that takes over both of these characters is really fun to watch. On my first viewing of this movie, I would have told you that the third act twist is probably one of Nolan's best third acts. Maybe I would still say that. But I do think the thing that holds this film back in particular is the fact that the twist does kind of lose a little bit of its tension and its flavor. Like, it kind of loses a little bit of that wow factor that I had on first watch. Knowing everything that happens, knowing everything that leads up to it, the third act and the final twist just don't really hit as hard as they did on the first or second watch. But I still absolutely love this movie. Number 5, the one you've all been waiting for, Christopher Nolan's newest film, The Odyssey. This is just epic practical filmmaking at its finest. The IMAX camera cinematography looks absolutely outstanding. I've seen the film twice in IMAX. I'm seeing it again in about a week, and I love this movie. And I think, as is the case with Oppenheimer and many of Nolan's other films, I will only love this film more the more times I watch it. I absolutely love all of the thought and care that went into making this film. Like I said, the practical filmmaking is absolutely insane. The lengths that Christopher Nolan and his team went to get this film done the way that they wanted to do it, and trying to do everything in camera, it's just spectacular. It all looks amazing. Absolutely outstanding production design. The film, every set genuinely feels lived in and real, like you're watching actual characters. Like, sometimes you kind of even forget that you're watching a movie. And these characters are just all fantastic. Matt Damon is amazing as the number one, as Odysseus. He's incredible. Robert Pattinson as Antinous is such a sleazy villain that you want to smack in the face every time he's on screen. He does fantastic in the role, and he is so great at playing a hateable villain. And when he finally gets what's coming to him, it's extremely satisfying. It's one of my favorite movies of the year so far, and it's fighting with a couple others for that number one spot. By the end of the year, it may just get there, only time will tell. And number 4, I have Inception. This is a film kind of like with Tenet that I had to watch a few times to fully wrap my head around it and fully kind of understand what was going on, the way that Nolan balances the different timelines, the different levels of the dreams. It gets very, very crazy. And once you do understand it, it's absolutely brilliant. I love this movie now after seeing it several times and picking up what exactly is going on. It has become one of my favorites in Nolan's filmography. Leonardo DiCaprio is fantastic here. He plays such an interesting character, Cobb, who has a very tragic, haunted past that he's constantly running away from, while also kind of wanting to get back to his old life. And wanting to get back to his kids is his main motivation that sets the whole plot in motion. Hans Zimmer's score is absolutely outstanding, and I think this might just have some of the best action and set pieces in Nolan's filmography. Number 3, Interstellar, one of my favorite science fiction movies of all time. Everything about this film is just absolutely spectacular. Hans Zimmer gives one of my favorite movie scores of all time, tied with Oppenheimer for my favorite movie score in any Christopher Nolan movie specifically. The special effects and the look of the planets, all of the space shots look absolutely, no pun intended, but stellar. Several absolutely thrilling sequences, like the docking scene. The score in that and the action gives me goosebumps every single time. And it's far and away, at least in my opinion, Christopher Nolan's most emotional and heartfelt film of his career. the story of a father wanting to save his kids, knowing he's going to have to sacrifice years of his time with them in order for them to have a good, healthy future, is absolutely heartbreaking. The scene, the 27-year messages scene, every time that scene hits, that is probably the most emotional scene in Christopher Nolan's entire filmography. Matthew McConaughey's acting is absolutely outstanding. I just absolutely love this movie, and I love it more the more times I watch it. My runner-up is Oppenheimer. Who else but Christopher Nolan can make a 3-hour black and white biopic about the man who built the atomic bomb as thrilling and entertaining as Christopher Nolan? This movie is like, you don't expect the word thrilling to come to mind when you think of a biopic about a theoretical physicist, but that's exactly what this is. I absolutely love this movie. The acting is all absolutely insane. Every single actor and actress brought their A game to this film, and Christopher Nolan pretty much got all of Hollywood in this damn thing. Like, there are so many people that just have little bit parts, very small roles, that every time I watch the movie, I forget just how many people are in this film. And when I see someone pop on screen that I recognize, I go, oh my God, I forgot that they were in this movie. That happened several times on my last rewatch. Rami Malek, Jack Quaid, Devin Bostic, the list goes on. So many people that I completely forgot were in this movie. And it's such a joyful surprise when they pop on screen. Cillian Murphy gives one of the best performances of his career. Same with Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. is really the true standout for me every time I watch this film. He is just amazing as Louis Strauss, and the way he plays just this kind of ego-driven character that the entire film he's thinking of what Oppenheimer said about him. His first instinct is that he immediately said something bad about him. And in the final moments of the film, we find out that he was actually having a very tragic conversation with Einstein about the bomb. And it's just that ego that leads to his downfall, that it is very entertaining. Robert Downey Jr. gives a phenomenal performance. Ludwig Göransson gives one of the best scores of his career, maybe my favorite score from him. And of course, Christopher Nolan directs the hell out of it. Everybody knows that. He got his Best Picture and Best Director awards finally. Very well deserved. But another aspect that I think very many people, almost no one mentions, is the screenplay. I think this is one of, if not Christopher Nolan's best screenplays. The dialogue is extremely well written. It keeps the tension and the action going. 3 hours feels closer to 2, and you almost don't want it to end. But coming in number 1 for me is not only my favorite Christopher Nolan movie, but my favorite movie of all time, period, The Dark Knight. Everything about this film is just absolutely perfect, from the opening scene to Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker. Genuinely a phenomenal generational performance that we may never get something like again. He very deservedly so posthumously won the Oscar. It's very tragic that he passed away before this film came out. I would have absolutely loved to see what else he could have done after this film, and I can guarantee that if he were still alive, he would be getting phone calls 24/7. Everyone would want to work with him. It was Christopher Nolan's first time using IMAX technology, and all of the IMAX action sequence looks absolutely gorgeous. I also really love Aaron Eckhart as Two-Face. I don't think he gets quite the credit he deserves because he's kind of course, he's overshadowed by Heath Ledger's Joker, but he does do a fantastic job. I wish we could have gotten a little more screen time with him. I think he comes into the film as Two-Face a little bit too late. And this really is just a perfect comic book film that changed the way we think about comic book movies and superhero performances in general. And it was a movie so good that the Oscars had to change their rules and expanded their Best Picture category from 5 nominees to 10 nominees because everyone was deservedly pissed off that The Dark Knight didn't get nominated for Best Picture in 2009. So there you have it. That is my ranking of all 13 Christopher Nolan films. What is your ranking of these movies? Let me know down in the comments below. I did reviews on every single Christopher Nolan film leading up to the Odyssey. Check all of those out in the description below. And if you haven't already, check out my new short film, Wishes Brew. I'll leave all of that in the description. I have a bunch of MCU and Spider-Man content coming very soon with Brand New Day just releasing. And until my next video like this one, subscribe to my channel and keep watching movies.